The humans thought they were answering a cry for help. They didn't know the galaxy had been screaming for centuries and that their mistake would finally let it breathe. The distress call appeared on human scanners as a thin, trembling line of sound too weak, too old, and too far beyond mapped space to make sense. It repeated every 11 minutes, a pattern so precise it couldn't be natural. 3 simple elements formed the signal: coordinates, a pulse code resembling fear responses, and a final phrase translated by the ship's AI into something disturbingly vague. "Help us remember who we were." Captain Mara Ionescu stared at the holographic projection, arms folded tight across her chest. The UN's Horizon's wake drifted at the edge of known jump lanes, its engines humming like a restrained animal. "Cross-reference that origin again," she said. "I don't like ghosts." Lieutenant Havel shook his head. "Already did. That sector's listed as uninhabited. No stars stable enough for life, no registered civilizations, nothing." "And who's screaming?" Mara asked quietly. Humanity had only joined the interstellar community 20 years earlier. Still new, still naive, according to most elder species. But there was one thing humans had brought with them that the galaxy hadn't seen in a very long time: a stubborn belief that distress calls must be answered. The Galactic Accord didn't require response to unverified signals beyond charted space. In fact, it strongly discouraged it. Too many traps, too many ancient wars best left buried. Mara knew all of this. She also knew that turning away would haunt her. "Plot a jump," she said. The AI hesitated a fraction of a second, but enough to notice. "Captain, the probability of hostile contact exceeds." "I know," Mara interrupted. "We're going anyway." The jump tore reality like wet cloth. When the ship emerged, silence hit them first. Not the comforting emptiness of space, but an oppressive stillness, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Ahead floated a vast structure, invisible until their sensors screamed in alarm. A megastructure, no a cage, miles wide, constructed of dark latticework wrapped around a dim red star. The structure pulsed faintly with energy. Within it, billions of lights flickered: cities, habitats, entire worlds suspended like insects in amber. "By Earth," Havel whispered. "That's a prison." The distress signal intensified the moment the Horizon's wake crossed an unseen boundary. The phrase repeated again and again, clearer now: "Help us remember who we were." Before anyone could react, the ship's systems began receiving automated handshake sentient protocols, obsolete languages, and data keys that predated most known civilizations. "They're not asking for rescue," said Dr. Senkaro, the ship's xenohistorian. Her voice shook. "They're asking for acknowledgement." A new transmission cut through the bridge, bypassing translation filters entirely. A voice spoke directly into their minds, layered plural, exhausted. "You are not them," it said. "You are small. You are young. You are unafraid." Mara swallowed hard. "Who are you?" There was a pause, a long one. "Then we were called the Architects, and the galaxy forgot us on purpose." The prison shuddered. Somewhere deep within that impossible structure, locks older than human history began to wake, and humanity, by answering the wrong SOS, had just touched the first key. The prison did not open all at once. That was the first thing Mara realized as the megastructure began to change. Entire sections of the lattice glowed with a dull crimson light, like veins awakening in a long-dead god. Energy flows surged, rerouting through systems so ancient that even the Horizon S-Wake SAI struggled to interpret them. "Captain," the AI said carefully, "multiple containment protocols are destabilizing. I am unfamiliar with their architecture." "That makes 2 of us," Mara replied. The voice returned not as a shout, but as a weary presence settling into the minds of everyone on the bridge. "This cage was never meant to be silent," it said. "It was meant to erase us." Dr. Rao's hands trembled as she pulled ancient data streams into focus. "Captain, I'm finding references. Fragmented myths. Prohibited archives. The Architects were erased from official galactic history." "Erased how?" Havel asked. Rao hesitated. "By consensus. Long before humans ever looked up at the stars, the galaxy had been ruled by elder civilization species, so old they no longer measured time in generations, but in epochs. Among them, the Architects were different. They did not conquer, they did not rule. They designed stars stabilized by impossible geometries, hyperspace lanes carved cleanly through chaos, ecosystems balanced so perfectly they could survive supernova shockwaves. The golden age of the galaxy. Every elder species' oldest legend had one common element: the unseen hand of the Architects. "They didn't just build infrastructure," Ro whispered. "They built dependence. And when the galaxy realized it could not survive without us," the voice said, "fear replaced gratitude. The elder races had faced a choice: live forever under the guidance of beings they could never equal or remove them. So they chose imprisonment, not annihilation that would have left ruins, stories, questions. Instead, they built the cage and rewrote history. The architects became a footnote, then a myth, then nothing at all. And the SOS? Mara asked. Why now? Because the locks are failing, the voice replied. Entropy reaches, even lies. As if to confirm it, alarms erupted across the bridge. Energy spikes, Havel shouted. The prison's drawing power from subspace itself. If containment collapses, it won't collapse, the AI interrupted. It will release. Mara felt it then, a pressure in her chest, not threatening but immense. Like standing at the edge of a gravity well made of thought rather than mass. You said we weren't them, she said to the voice. Why trust us? Another pause. This one felt almost sad. Because your species is not yet afraid of us. Data floods intensified. The horizon's wake was being gifted knowledge maps of extinct stars, languages no one spoke anymore, blueprints for technologies humanity wasn't ready to understand. Ro gasped. Captain, this is dangerous. If the Galactic Council detects this, they will come, the voice finished. They always do when history begins to move. Outside the viewport, one section of the cage unlocked fully. A single world, lush, green, alive, slid free from its bindings and drifted into open space for the first time in eons across the galaxy. Dormant sensors stirred. Ancient alarms. Long silence began to ring, and humanity, still barely noticed among the stars, had just become impossible to ignore. The first warning did not come as a message. It came as silence. Across known space, relay stations blinked out one by one, not destroyed, not sabotaged, simply overridden. Communications rerouted through channels no one remembered building. Navigation buoys adjusted themselves by fractions of a degree, subtly but unmistakably correcting courses ships had trusted for millennia. The galaxy was being edited. On the bridge of the horizon's wake, Captain Mara felt the weight of it settle into her bones. Captain Havel said, voice tight, we're detecting mass fleet movements, multiple origins, elder civilizations. Ro didn't need to ask which ones. The names surfaced in her mind like old scars. The Vero Compact, the Kethan Synod, the Choir of Endless Light, founders of the Galactic Accord, keepers of the official history, wardens of the lie, the architect's voice added. The freed world outside the viewport continued drifting, its oceans glittering under a star it had not seen unfiltered in ages. Life bloomed across its surface jungles, reclaiming metal scars. Cities waking from enforced stasis. They're alive, Mara whispered. Not just surviving, thriving. We designed them too, the voice said. Even cages can be made gentle. If one plans to return. That word return sent a chill through the bridge. Captain, the AI interrupted. Incoming priority transmission. Galactic Council encryption. They are demanding immediate disengagement. The hologram flared to life, revealing a being of radiant geometry, the choir's representative. Its many voices spoke as one. Human vessel, it intoned. You are in violation of preoccurred containment law. Withdraw immediately. The structure you have disturbed is classified as an existential hazard. Mara met the avatar's gaze. You mean the prison? A ripple of distortion passed through the hologram. You do not understand what you are releasing. Ro stepped forward, unable to stop herself. We understand exactly what you buried. The choir did not deny it. Some truths, it said, end civilizations. No, the architects replied, their presence pressing gently but firmly against the minds of everyone listening. Lies end them more slowly. Space itself seemed to listen. The elder fleets arrived not as conquerors, but as custodians, vast ancient ships forming containment rings around the megastructure. Their weapons powered up, but did not fire. They're afraid, Havel murmured. As they should be, the voice said, not with anger, but with certainty. Mara felt something shift inside her then. Not awe, not terror. Responsibility. You said you needed us because we weren't afraid, she said. What happens when we are? The answer came softer than expected. Then you will become like them. Alarms screamed. One of the elder ships fired not at the horizon's wake, but at the prison itself. The beam struck an ancient lock, shattering it in a bloom of impossible light. The response was immediate. The megastructure unfolded, not exploded, unfolded like a flower remembering how to bloom. Dozens of worlds slipped free, habitats realigned, power systems inverted. What had been a cage revealed itself as something else entirely. An arc. Across the galaxy, gravity waves rippled outward, rewriting equations civilizations had taken for granted. The architect's voice grew stronger, no longer singular millions, speaking as one. You feared our guidance, they said. So now you will face a galaxy without it. Mara's ship shook as space-time flexed around them. History was no longer frozen. It was accelerating. And humanity, young, reckless humanity, was standing at the exact point where it broke loose. The galaxy did not burn. That surprised everyone. When the architects fully awakened, there was no wave of annihilation, no vengeful strike against the elder fleets. Instead, something far more unsettling spread through space withdrawal. Hyperlanes flickered, then stabilized into new configurations that ignored old political borders. Star systems once gently balanced began to drift, their long-maintained equilibrium unraveling like a thread pulled too far. "They're letting go," Ro whispered. "We are no longer holding the galaxy together," the architects said. "We will not be its crutch again." For millennia, the elder civilizations had prospered atop invisible foundations. Now those foundations were being carefully, deliberately removed. A Kethan dreadnought miscalculated a jump and vanished into folded space. A Varel agricultural ring collapsed when its stellar stabilizers failed systems the architects had once silently maintained. Panic spread faster than any plague. Council channels flooded with emergency requests, accusations, denials. Entire civilizations demanded that the architects resume control. "You imprisoned us to prove your independence," the voice replied. "Now prove it." On the horizon's wake, Mara watched casualty reports scroll past. "This is too much," she said. "They'll blame you. They'll blame us." "Blame is inevitable," the architects answered. "Growth is not." A human transmission cut through the Chaos Earth command. "Mara," Admiral Reyes said, his face pale. "What in God's name did you wake up?" "History," Mara replied hoarsely. "And consequences." Reyes hesitated. "The Council is calling for sanctions." "Against humanity." Of course they were. Humans were new, unentrenched, expendable. "They think we're your allies," Mara said to the voice. "You are not our servants," the architects said. "You are our witnesses." That distinction mattered more than it seemed. As elder fleets repositioned, weapons primed, a different kind of signal began to propagate, one that did not use subspace or light. It used memory. Species across the galaxy began to remember things they had never been taught. Songs with missing verses, ruins whose purposes suddenly made sense. Star charts older than their own histories. The lie was unraveling from the inside. Ro clutched the console, tears streaming down her face. "They're remembering us," she said. "All of us." And with remembrance came rage. Several younger client species turned on their former patrons, realizing how much had been stolen from them, technologies suppressed, paths of development deliberately slowed. The galaxy fractured along lines that had never officially existed. Captain Havel said quietly, "This could lead to total collapse." Mara closed her eyes. "Or evolution," she said. The architect's presence dimmed slightly, not fading, but decentralizing. "We will step back," they said, "not into silence, into plurality." A new generation of minds architect shards would spread among willing civilizations. Teachers, not rulers. Guides, not gods. But the cost would be high. Billions would suffer before balance returned. Mara felt the weight of it crush down on her chest. "Why start this now?" she asked. "Why risk everything?" The answer came not from the many, but from one. "Because you answered when you didn't have to." Outside the viewport, the last of the prison's locks dissolved into starlight. The cage was gone, and the galaxy, finally free of its oldest secret, began the painful work of choosing what it would become. The sanctions came swiftly. Trade corridors closed to human ships. Research exchanges were paused indefinitely. Diplomatic envoys were recalled under thinly veiled threats of force. Humanity, once overlooked, occasionally patronized, was now the most discussed species in the galaxy. Not because of power, but because of choice. "They don't know what to do with us," Admiral Reyes said during a secure channel briefing. His voice was steady, but the strain showed in his eyes. "We didn't conquer anyone. We didn't demand anything. We just answered." Mara sat in silence aboard the horizon's wake, watching a projection of shifting alliances fracture and reform in real time. "You don't punish a weapon for existing," Reyes continued. "You punish the hand that picks it up. Then do not become a hand." The architect's echo whispered, not in command, but in reminder. Human space buzzed with debate. Some called Mara a hero. Others called her the architect of extinction. Protesters filled orbital habitats. Philosophers, theologians, and economists argued over a single, terrifying question: what responsibility comes with being the one who opened the door? Ro addressed the United Assembly, her voice broadcast to every colony. "We didn't free the architects," she said. "We freed the truth." The galaxy is reacting not to what was released but to what was revealed. Her words did not calm the council. An ultimatum followed. Humanity was ordered to sever all contact with the architects and assist in rebuilding containment measures, new prisons, carefully disguised. Mara read the directive twice, then closed the file. "They're asking us to lie," she said. "They're asking us to survive." Havel replied softly. Before Mara could respond, the architects reached out, not with pressure, but with distance. "We will not hide behind you," they said. "If you turn away, we will understand." That frightened her more than any threat. "What happens if we don't?" she asked. The answer was not immediate. Then humanity becomes a question the galaxy cannot ignore. Elder civilizations began probing human systems, not militarily, but politically. Offers of protection, promises of elevation, subtle attempts to fold humanity into old power structures. At the same time, younger species sought humans out in secret. "You answered when no one else would," said an envoy from a newly awakened world once caged within the Ark. "Teach us how to do the same." Humanity stood at a crossroads no species had faced before. Mediator, scapegoat, or spark. Mara returned to the edge of the former prison site, where the megastructure had once dominated space. There was now only open sky and faint geometric traces fading like after images. "You knew this would happen," she said to the lingering presence. "Yes, you let us take the blame." "No," the architects corrected gently. "We'll let you take agency." The difference settled heavily in her chest. A final message arrived from the Galactic Council. Humanity will be judged by what it builds next. Mara smiled grimly. Then they're finally paying attention. Beyond human space, the galaxy churned and stable, angry, alive. Old empires weakened. New voices rose. And everywhere, the same question spread from world to world. If humans answered the wrong SOS, what else might they answer? Judgment did not come as war. That too surprised everyone. The Galactic Council convened in full for the first time in 6,000 years, not in secret chambers or filtered consensus nodes, but openly broadcast across every known system. The elders could no longer control the narrative. Too many species were watching, too many were remembering. Humanity was invited not as defendants, not as allies, but as context. Captain Mara stood before the assembly, a single human figure framed by beings who measured their lives in millennia. She felt small. Then she remembered that small things could change everything. "You ask what humans intend to build next," she said. "That assumes we were trying to replace you." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "We weren't," Mara continued. "We answered a call. That's all. Everything after that, your fear, your collapse, your reckoning, that belongs to you." Silence followed. Not hostile, reflective. The architects did not appear. That absence was deliberate. Instead, their legacy manifested quietly. Hyperlanes stabilized under new, shared stewardship. Technologies once hoarded were released through open accords. The architect shards limited, non-dominant, voluntary, integrated into dozens of civilizations, guiding without ruling. Some species refused them, and that was allowed. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy was not optimized. It was choosing. There were losses. Worlds that failed to adapt. Empires that fractured beyond repair. But there were also unexpected survivals, cultures, once deemed non-viable, thriving without imposed balance. Humanity became something strange in this new era. Not leaders, not saviors, responders. When a star destabilized humans, coordinated help. When two species reached the brink of war, humans hosted dialogue. When a signal appeared uncertain, unverified, inconvenient, humans listened. They did not answer every call, but they never ignored one. Mara retired quietly. No monuments, no titles, just a small observatory on the edge of human space, where she could watch ships come and go, some bearing flags that hadn't existed before the prison opened. One night, as she gazed into the stars, a familiar presence brushed her thoughts. Faint now, distant. "You changed the galaxy," the architects said, not as a chorus, but as an echo. Mara smiled sadly. "No, we just picked up the phone." That was enough. Far across the stars, a new signal began to spread. Not a distress call, not a command, a question. Is anyone out there listening? And because of one mistaken SOS, because humans answered when they didn't. The galaxy already knew the answer. Yes, someone always is.